Hello everyone, welcome to the EPL preview show. We are at international break for the English Premier League. This is the first international break of the season and every players are with their national teams on duty. So hopefully all our top players of the Premier League, they don't get injured and they come back injured to the clubs. That's what the clubs will be hoping for, but this is good experience. They'll be traveling all over the world. But international breaks, I don't know, I'm not a fan of international break. Honestly, international break is worse than a heartbreak. Anyways, so in this videos, I'll go over the transfer window. The transfer window just ended this past weekend. I'll go over each of the club's transfer businesses, how did they, what they did, and how much they spent over the course of this summer transfer window. And I'll tell you my results, which clubs did well, which clubs struggled, and which clubs were definitely not in there. Because there was one club which didn't spend at nothing, which didn't spend a single penny or a single euro. So let's get straight into it. I'll start off with the clubs which spend the most this window, and of course we know the top club is Chelsea Football Club. They spent over 225 million pounds over the transfer window. They signed the likes of Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell, so they spent a lot. Let's see how they incorporate going into the season going ahead. Coming at number 2 is Manchester City, of course. They are always going to be the top spenders for coming years as long as Pep Guardiola is there. Manchester City spent about 147 million euros and they signed a good amount of players. Again, spending a lot on defenders because they let go a certain number of defenders, but let's see, the defense have been a weak factor for them, especially in the game they played against Leicester City this couple of weeks ago. So Man City is spending 147 million euros, followed by Aston Villa. Surprise, surprise, Aston Villa, the team which was fighting for relegation last season. They spent about almost 85 million euros. They are at number 3 for among all the Premier League clubs who spend a lot. So Aston Villa coming at number 3. At number 4 we have Leeds United. They spent close enough, 84.5, but we can round it up to 85 million euros. But considering the fact they won the championship last season, so the winners of the championship every year, they get a certain amount of prize money. So I believe that's justifiable from Leeds United spending so much, and I believe they should be amount to spend because Marcelo Bielsa and their team, the kind of football they play is amazing to see. So let's see how they fare up in this coming season. As I predicted in my first video, I am predicting them to finish in the top 10 this season, and I love how they play in every single game. It's good to see from a new club, they're coming out into the Premier League after almost a decade and stuff. So let's see how they fare up in this coming weeks. The next up, topping up the top 5 is Wolverhampton Wanderers, spending almost 83 million euros on players. So they are the top 5 clubs which spend the most in this transfer window. Some notifiable signings were Thiago, and there were some exciting signings from Arsenal, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur on deadline day. I'll talk more about that when I go more deep into the clubs individually. Other than that, I believe the best signings, the best window I had was for Everton and Tottenham Hotspur. Everton only spent about 65 million euros, but they got great players in those 65 million. As well as Tottenham Hotspur, they spent thereafter Everton in the spending market. They spent about 62 million euros, and again the big one, they got Gareth Bale and some exciting new signings as well, some smart signings as well. So those are the top ones, but the disappointing one was Burnley Football Club. Yes, Burnley Football Club didn't spend anything this transfer window. It's gonna be a long season ahead. Hopefully none of their players get injured. If the players get injured, it'll be tough for them to get points week in, week out, depending on the squad depth they have. So it'll be interesting to see. I might tip them to fight for relegation, considering they haven't spent the season at all. They might struggle until the winter transfer window opens. So they won't be able to sign any players until the winter transfer window. So hopefully they get some good results until then. Otherwise, they will be fighting or in the relegation zone until that time. So let's see how they fare. And next up, I'll just start individually, alphabetically, with all the teams and the players they signed this season. So starting off, the first team is Arsenal. They have been impressive so far. They have just registered a defeat against Liverpool, which was justifiable because Liverpool were too good in that game. They were pressing too hard. Arsenal had no response to that, but I believe they shouldn't be discouraged with that. They have gotten some great signings. I believe they started with Willian, free transfer from Chelsea. He rocked on in the first game against Fulham, getting almost 2-3 assists, but then he has been a little average in the next few games. So let's see how Willian transforms in the coming games, and hopefully he gets Arsenal into scoring more. I believe creating more, because that's what Arsenal will be missing going ahead. Other than Willian, Arsenal signed Dani Ceballos back from loan from Real Madrid. That's another good signing. Dani Ceballos coming back for his second season on loan, and he has been impressive. He creates a lot. He's a pretty energetic midfielder, and he's something that ticks the boxes in the midfield for Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. The next important signing, I believe he is going to be a huge if he consistently performs as he has been performing in the last few games, is Gabriel. Gabriel was signed from Lille in this summer for about 25-30 million euros, and he has been an astute signing for them. He has shown that his performance has been top-notch, tackling one-on-one situations, heading and clearing the ball. He is a tall, lanky fellow, and he has been pretty impressive in the defense for Arsenal. I see him starting every single game because he is a proper force and he is some commander which Arsenal has been missing over the past years. So a good signing for Arsenal and Gabriel. I believe the centre-back pairing is sorted. He can start with David Luiz or probably I believe William Saliba. He might be leaving on loan. There's still the domestic window is still on. So let's see how he fares. Depending on this, the next signing I'm talking about, the big signing they signed on deadline day is Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid. Yes, the Arsenal signed Thomas Partey on the deadline day, and this is some huge intent, some big signing from the club. They were lacking some Patrick Vieira type of a midfielder over the years, and I believe Thomas Partey can be that player. He is an amazing player. He is a centre midfield. It'll be interesting to see how Mikel Arteta deploys him. If he'll go to a 4-3-3 or he'll continue playing a 3-4-3, which has been pretty successful for him so far. But I believe Thomas Partey signing, I can see a midfield of Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey and Dani Ceballos. Thomas Partey doing the dirty work, Dani Ceballos and Granit Xhaka distributing the ball and playing forward passes will be good for them. Thomas Partey signed release clause 50 million euros. Arsenal, amazing deal, amazing transfer window for them. Hopefully, let's see, they're still lacking the creative midfield in the middle. So let's see if they can cover up and probably get Aubameyang scoring goals again after the international break. So I believe it's a good window for Arsenal. I'll give them a B+, good window. Let's see how they carry on until the winter transfer window. The next team up we have is Aston Villa, who signed Ollie Watkins. He was a top player for Brentford last season in the Championship. Ollie Watkins, he scored a hat-trick against Liverpool, where Aston Villa hammered Liverpool 7-2. This was unexpected result, surprising result. Liverpool letting in 7 goals in one game, and that too against Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins, he's young. He can have a Dominic Calvert-Lewin effect, who's having it at Everton right now. So that's a good signing, good one, good clubs. Next up, they also signed Emiliano Martinez from Arsenal, who was immense in the latter part of the last season for Arsenal, which won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. So I believe they have a great shot stopper in Emiliano Martinez. Depending how they defend, I can see them survive the Premier League this season, considering the fact they were fighting for relegation last season. So Aston Villa, this is some good signing in Emiliano Martinez. And the deadline transfer they did was they signed Ross Barkley. It was not deadline day, but they signed Ross Barkley on loan, who was part of the team against Liverpool, winning the game 7-2. So Ross Barkley, he probably won't get time at Chelsea, so he came over to Aston Villa, and his link up with Jack Grealish will be the talk of the show in the coming weeks and how they come up. So let's see, Aston Villa, I give them a B grade for the signing, considering they didn't sell their main players like Jack Grealish and Al Mohammadi. So considering the fact they continue their form, especially what they played against Liverpool, this will be a good season for them. and they can survive relegation. They can finish in the mid half of the table. Next up, Brighton Hove Albion. Not much to do here. They send Dendonker, the free signing Adam Lallana. I believe this is a decent transfer window considering the club they are. I'll give them a B- for the window, and they have been pretty impressive the way they're playing. So B-, and let's see how they continue if they continue the form in the coming weeks as well. So Brighton is a good team. I was predicting them to fight for relegation, but if they continue the way the type of style of play they have been playing, they can actually finish mid-table as well. Next up, we have Burnley, who didn't sign a player. They signed some like free agents and stuff, but didn't spend big on like any big players. So Burnley, they let off go Joe Hart to Tottenham for free. Jeff Hendrick left for Newcastle for free. So this is not good business. They're letting off players for free. If they could recuperate some money, they could have made some good signings or made up for the transfer window. I'm going for a D grade for Burnley in this transfer window. I'm hoping they survive this season. They are decent, but it's tough to play when you visit Turf Moor. So let's see how Burnley do, especially until the winter transfer window, because it's going to be tough considering the squad depth they have. So let's see if they can grind out results in the coming weeks. Next up is of course the big one, the big club which spent the most this season, Chelsea Football Club. Starting off, they signed Timo Werner, almost about 40-50 million euros from RB Leipzig. Hakim Ziyech coming in from Ajax. He was signed way before the season ended last year, so he still hasn't featured yet for Chelsea. He's still nursing an injury. He'll be a good signing. Let's see how he copes in the Premier League. Then we have the big signing of Ben Chilwell from Leicester City, about 50 million euros. He was on the show against Crystal Palace, scoring and assisting. He is a modern day left back. He's a perfect left back for Chelsea, considering they had the likes of Ashley Cole. I can believe he can show his performances for Leicester, how he played, and he can be a regular starter for Chelsea considering there's no injuries. Ben Chilwell is one of the top signings for Chelsea this season. Then they signed Thiago Silva from PSG on free, and Malang Sarr, who was signed on free but he was sent out on loan again to Porto, I believe. And then another big signing was Kai Havertz, about £72 million from Bayern Leverkusen. He scored a hat-trick against League One side Barnsley, I believe. But let's see, he still has to get his foot in the Premier League. So let's see how he does in the coming weeks. He's the main attacking player. So Kai Havertz, Chelsea fans are waiting for you to steal the show. So let's see how you come up. And the last signing they made was Edouard Mendy, the goalkeeper from Rennes. He played the game against Crystal Palace, and he just got injured in midweek, I believe. So let's see how crazy this injury is. But all this 5-6 signings, Chelsea made over £200 million. So I believe this is going to be a big season. They have to finish top 4, otherwise it might be not a good season considering how well Frank Lampard played last season without signing anyone. So I believe the owner Abramovich will be expecting a trophy. The minimum requirement will be a trophy from Chelsea this season. If it doesn't happen, I can see Frank Lampard getting the boot, getting sacked at the end of the season or something. So I'm hoping Frank Lampard is a nice guy, but let's see how he copes up with this amount of players he has signed and how he can integrate and get the best 11 in the coming weeks. So let's see. Premier League is unpredictable, so let's see what happens in the coming weeks. Next up we have is Crystal Palace. The only two signings, the notable signings I can see is Aberachi Eze from QPR. He's an exciting player, young prospect. I want to see how he copes up in the Premier League. He will be a Zaha player, midfielder. So I'm excited to see once he bursts up into the scene how Crystal Palace use him and utilize him. And another signing, they got Michy Batshuayi on loan again from Chelsea, who was not getting games with Chelsea. So Batshuayi will be back in the striking zone for Crystal Palace. For Chelsea, I forgot to give the grade. I'll give A- for Chelsea. And for Crystal Palace, I'm going with a C grade. I believe they would have signed more players. They need some more exciting strikers. They got Batchway on loan, but I believe if they get a proper striker who like bags in goals week in week out, they would have done well. So a C grade for Crystal Palace. Following up, the big team I believe which has been super impressive and has been amazing this season is Everton Football Club, the Merseyside club, which has 12 points out of 12, 4 wins out of 4, big wins against Tottenham Hotspurs and scoring goals for fun. They have signed the big signing James Rodriguez from Real Madrid on loan, I believe. No. So Carlo Ancelotti getting his ties again from Real Madrid, getting James Rodriguez. He's been creating chances after chances for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The young striker has scored in 4 consecutive games and he has been a strike force for them. And the main reason they have been being so impressive is those 2 players. And not to forget, they have also signed Allen from Napoli. Again, this is Carlo Ancelotti's previous club, Napoli. Allen is an engine in the midfield. And along with him, they also signed Abdullah Doucouré from Watford, who got relegated last season. Abdullah Doucouré and Allen in the midfield is gonna be something. So Abdullah Doucouré, Allen in the midfield, James Rodriguez creating chances, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Sigurdsson. So they have pretty good squad depth for Everton. So let's see how they continue their form. The first game they play after the international break is the Merseyside derby against Liverpool. So it will be interesting to see Liverpool after that defeat 7-2. They'll be playing Everton. Everton will be on high notes. So let's see how they perform, if they get the points or if Liverpool bounce back in that game. And the last signing they made was Ben Godfrey from Norwich, who's a defender. Good signing, I believe. That's building on their squad depth, Everton. So that's pretty nice. Everton, I'll go with a A- for the transfer window. Fulham, I believe they signed Mario Lemina on loan from Southampton and Alfonso Areola, he's a goalkeeper who was signed on loan from PSG. And Ademola Lookman, who was signed from Leipzig in the final hours of the transfer window. So these are some decent signings. Fulham have been struggling, so I can see them getting relegated this season. So I believe this is a C grade for Fulham, considering the signings, but they need to get back on the points table. So let's see if they can get some points in the coming weeks or no. Next up, we have the new team in the Premier League, Leeds United. Leeds United, they have been awesome. They signed, the big signings are Rodrigo from Valencia, Diego Llorente from Real Sociedad, and Helmut Costa from Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm going for a B+ for the transfer window. They have been exciting. The football they play is always amazing, attacking football, attack minding. No matter which team they play, they're always on the front foot. So that's exciting to see, especially from the Championship club, who just got promoted. So I can see them finishing in the top 10, not to exaggerate, but Leeds United will be a team to play for any club, coming to, or like they are traveling to your home clubs. Next up, we have Leicester City. They didn't sign much players, but the players they signed, they are pretty impressive. 3 players. First off, Timothy Castagne, the Belgian they signed from Atalanta. He's already on the assistant score sheet for Leicester over the past weeks. Then they signed Cengiz Under from loan. He's a winger from Roma, and he can be a force depending on the starting 11 Brendan Rodgers plays in the coming weeks. And the last signing they made is a good defender, Wesley Fofana, the French guy from Saint Etienne. He played with William Saliba and Saint Etienne the last couple of years. So let's see how he copes up in the Premier League. So Leicester, I'm going B grade for the transfer window. They will be fighting in the top 6. They will be there, trying to break the top 6, and let's see if they can do it this season, considering they messed up in the latter half of the last season, giving Manchester United the upper hand on getting what they did and finishing in the top 4. Next up are the champions Liverpool, who signed, I believe this is a signing of the window, Thiago Alcantara from Bayern Munich for just 20 to 25 million euros. This is some signings. So he has not played in the last 2 games because he was tested positive for the coronavirus. Once he integrates in the team, I can see him running the midfield. He will be the engine for Liverpool coming ahead. And even though they lost 7-2 against Aston Villa, I can still see them fighting for the championship this coming season. So Thiago is one of the top 3 signings of the summer. in the Premier League. And then they also signed Simikas, left back from Olympiacos. Let's see if he'll get chances over Andy Robertson. And another interesting and good signing, I believe, is Diogo Jota from Wolves. He's an absolute amazing player. I like him. He was amazing for Wolves for the past 2 years, and he can bring the required squad depth for Liverpool coming season. So overall, they didn't need much signings, so that's why I'll just go for a B minus for Liverpool, considering they didn't need much, considering how strong their team is and how good the squad depth is. So B minus for Liverpool. Next up, we have the big spenders, the billionaires, Manchester City. They are number 2 in the spending window this season. They spent heavily on Pablo Moreno, on Juventus, Ferran Torres, the winger from Valencia, who scored in the last game week. Nathan Ake was signed from Bournemouth as a defensive backup. And Ruben Diaz, another defender who signed from Benfica, where Nicolas Otamendi was swapped. And again, it was like 50-60 million euro dollars for Man City. So they spent a lot, I believe. I'm going with a B grade for Man City. I believe they are lacking some creativity since David Silva left. So let's see how they cope up. They suffered heavily against Leicester City, losing 5-2 at home, then drawing against Leeds United 1-1. They have been dropping points in the last 2 weeks. They can come back in the coming weeks, but they need some confidence, because they will be playing Arsenal at home. Arsenal, we don't know if they'll be able to produce the performance they have away from home. So that will be another interesting game. Let's see if Manchester City bounce back or they drop points again. So B for Man City. The next step, I believe, is Manchester United. Considering how rich their owners is, I was not pretty impressed with the signings they made. They also signed Donny van de Beek, who's an exciting prospect from Ajax, signed for about 35 million euros. Donny van de Beek, he can be a star, but depending on how Manchester United line up, they have Paul Pogba, they have Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. So it'll be interesting to see if he reckons with a 4-2-3-1 or he moves into a 4-3-3, considering Donny van de Beek is an attacking type of a player, but they're lacking a proper defensive midfielder, and then the defense was all over the place. If you saw the game against Spurs last week, they conceded 6 goals against Spurs. Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, everyone ripping apart. Harry Maguire, and I don't know, the defense was all over the place. I don't know what to say. So hopefully they bounce back the coming weeks. They have a lot to go in this upcoming season. They will be disappointing on how the transfer window ended, but they were able to sign Edison Cavani from PSG in the final windows. So they have got a proper striker, a proper number 9. So it will be interesting to see how Edison Cavani copes up. If he becomes a Falcao or he turns out into a Ibrahimovic. So Falcao was a flop when Manchester United signed him, but he can be as good as Ibrahimovic as well, who was a man and scored goals. So let's see how Manchester United do. I am going for a C minus for the transfer window this season. Not a good transfer window. They could have done more. They could have got more signings, wingers, and a good defender as well. So let's see how they do in the coming weeks in the Premier League. Next up, we have Newcastle United, who did some awesome free signings in Ryan Fraser from Bournemouth. Callum Wilson was signed from Bournemouth as well. And Jamal Lewis, good player from Norwich City, they signed him. And Jeff Hendrick from Burnley. So this was some interesting signings. They're getting some good results. They got 2 wins, and it'll be interesting to see if they can follow up in this one. So I think it's a good one. I'm going with a B plus for the transfer window for Newcastle United. I can see them making the mid-table, finishing the mid-table in this coming season. Following up is Sheffield United, who were one of the top impressive sides last season in the Premier League, and this season they have not been up to the mark, considering how much they have spent. They have spent about 53 million on players like Aaron Ramsdale, Ethan Ampadu was signed from loan on Chelsea, Ryan Brewster and Oliver Burke. So I'm not sure if these are Premier League proven players and how they will do, considering Sheffield United needs some points, considering they have been dropping points week in, week out since the season started this one. I'm going for a C grade for Sheffield United this transfer season. Hopefully they can get some results in. They are in desperate need of results and points in the coming weeks. Next up, we have Southampton. They signed Kyle Walker-Peters from Tottenham, Ibrahim Diallo, Diallo from Brest. So it's a decent season again. It's another C grade window for Southampton. I can see them finishing in the mid-table again. I don't see them fighting for relegation. Ralph Hasenhüttl, the manager, is pretty good. He knows how to line up against certain teams and clubs. So he can get results some weeks, but some weeks against big clubs he might struggle. So Southampton was decent. Again, they will be again in the mid table this season for Premier League. Next up is the big club again, Tottenham Hotspurs. Jose Mourinho running the show in the transfer window for Tottenham Hotspurs this season. They made signings such as Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Southampton. He is an engine in the midfield. He was engine for Southampton over the past years. And Tottenham, I believe, has got a smart player in him. He can break out plays and stuff. If you're playing, as you can saw against Manchester United, he was breaking plays in the midfield and is breaking plays and is passing the ball forward. And Spurs were like scoring goals week. Damn good. Other than that, they signed Joe Hart from free. He will be a deputy to Hugo Lloris. Matt Doherty, the right wing back was signed from Wolves. Again, another smart signing. Again, less than 20 million euros. Jose Mourinho is some genius. I believe he's getting the players he wants, and it's good to see Tottenham Hotspur's owners are backing him with the players. And then the three big signings this is deadline day selling. Carlos Vinicius, the striker from Benfica, was signed on loan. So let's see if he'll get games this season or no. And the two big signings are the left back Sergio Reguilon, who was on his way to Manchester United, but Spurs came in late and signed him. A great left back. Let's see. He played well against Manchester United. If he's fit again, he'll be banging in some fraying runs on the left hand side. And the big signing from loan again is Gareth Bale from Real Madrid. So let's see, once he is fit, if he get games, the front three of Gareth Bale, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane is like one of the top three front threes in the Premier League this season. So considering he stays fit, no injuries for Gareth Bale, they might be banging in goals for fun considering how they played against Manchester United this past week. So I'm going with A grade for Tottenham Hotspur this transfer window. Let's see how they cope up in the coming weeks. And if they continue scoring goals for fun, good play. Next up, we have the promoted team, West Bromwich Albion. They didn't do much signings. They signed Callum Robinson from Sheffield United. Branislav Ivanovic was signed from Zenit on loan, I believe. But West Bromwich, I can see them fighting for relegation. They will eventually get relegated. Fulham and West Bromwich Albion, I believe they're the top two signings who might get relegated. So considering the signings they did, I'm going with a B-. These are decent to stay alive in the Premier League. But let's see how they cope up. Slaven Bilic will have a job to do in this coming season. It'll be tough to play against every team they have. So B-, C+, I believe. West Brom, not bad. But let's see if they can survive the drop this season. Next up we have is West Ham United, who signed Thomas Susek from Slavia Prague. And there are news coming in. They might be signing Ben Rama from Brentford, the winger from Brentford, since the domestic window is still open. So let's see the front three of Ben Rama, if they sign him, Mikel Antonio and Bowen, Susek as well. This will be some good signings from David Moyes. He's been getting results. He's been tested positive from coronavirus, but he's been out of the dugout. But West Ham United have won last two games, 6 points for them. They will be there in the mid-table, considering they don't drop their form. Mikel Antonio will be the main go-to guy in the coming weeks. I'm going with a B grade for West Ham United for this season. And next up we have is the last club is Wolverhampton Wanderers. They might be finishing the top 10. The signings they have made is Fabio Silva, another Portuguese, signed from Porto. Nelson Semedo was signed from Barcelona, another Portuguese. And then they have signed some Vitinha and some not so famous players. I'm going with a C+ grade for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They'll be fighting in the top 10. They'll be trying to break the top 6 as well, like Leicester City and Everton are doing. So let's see how they come up in the coming weeks. Raul Jimenez, considering his fit whole season, he'll be banging in goals along with Adama Traore. And yeah, so Wolverhampton Wanderers, I'm going with a good season. finishing the top 10. So those are all the teams which did the transfer window, and I believe those are my opinions on how they did the transfer window. And please do let me know what you think about your favorite clubs, or any clubs you think which did well, and then what you think the clubs were missing, certain clubs which you follow, if they missed out on someone's, and which clubs will do well considering the players they signed for this coming season. So that's my review for all the clubs and the transfer business they have done this season. I'll be back with another video talking about the I'll be talking about the predictions on the clubs, where they'll finish right before the next game week starts, and I'll talk about my predictions for the next game week as well. So stay tuned, and please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back for more, and hopefully you like my content. So please feel free to share your views as well. So until then, have a safe international break. I'm pretty sure you are bored. So until then, stay safe, be well, and wear your mask. Take care, guys.